So you're sitting at the IEP meeting with a stack of assessment results and realize that explaining these cognitive scores in a way that actually makes sense to parents is not something you practice during grad school. Fluid reasoning, processing speed, even long-term retrieval. Yeah, we learn these terms and these different theories, but how do we break it down in plain language and tie it into a child's real-world experiences? This video is a continuation of my last video where I talked about where to start on your first IEP meeting. Today, I'm going to be talking about the different common cognitive processing areas, how to explain them, what they actually mean, and how I wish somebody explained it to me when I was first starting out. Before we jump into each area, I want to explain why these 7 cognitive areas come up so often. It is aligned with a theory of intelligence called the Cattell-Horn-Carroll theory, or the CHC theory, which breaks down how we think and process information into broad cognitive abilities. Most of the assessments that we use are aligned with this model and built upon this model, such as the WJ Cognitive, the WISC, and the KABC. So it's not just reading off scores here, but really trying to understand how a student learns, solves problems, remembers information, and processes the world. Crystallized or comprehension knowledge is essentially a student's fund of general knowledge and verbal skills. It measures our ability to understand how words may go together and understanding of vocabulary and being able to explain ideas clearly. If this area is strong, the student might use advanced vocabulary and participate well in whole group or small group discussion. If this is an area of need, the student may struggle with explaining their thoughts or understanding multi-step directions. Fluid reasoning is about solving new problems without relying on what you already know. It measures how they can identify an underlying pattern and think logically through and draw conclusions on unfamiliar problems. So students who are strong here can figure things out logically. If this is an area of struggle, they might be overwhelmed when problems don't have very clear steps. And this affects areas in academics such as math and reading comprehension. Visual-Spatial processing refers to how well a student sees and manipulates visual information. It measures their ability to understand how parts can fit into a whole, like with a building block, copying a design, or mentally rotating shapes. And students who are strong in this area often like art, maps, or 3D buildings. And those who struggle may have disorganized art or have trouble copying things from the board. And this affects all subjects, and especially math when there are visuals or models involved. Short-term memory and working memory is our brain's sticky note. It helps us hold information just long enough to use it. It measures our ability to hold short series of numbers, letters, or words and apply them in certain contexts. If I gave a child a math problem in their head, they use their working memory to hold that number in place and then use it to figure out the answer. Students who struggle with this area often have trouble following multi-step directions, such as get your book, open to page 5, and answer page 1. So they'll lose track of the steps in different tasks, and they may require frequent repetition or frequent reminders. And this affects all areas academically. Long-term retrieval is our brain's filing cabinet. It's about how quickly and accurately we can pull information out that we've already learned. You know, when the word is on the tip of your tongue, that's a retrieval moment. Students who struggle with retrieval may say, I studied, but I forgot during the test. And this can impact all areas of academics, but specifically in areas of spelling, recalling math facts, or answering open-ended questions. Processing speed is how quickly and accurately a student can complete familiar tasks. This isn't about how smart one is, but it's the difference between having fast or slow internet. The thing you want to download still will download, but one takes longer than the other. And students with low processing speed may feel rushed or like they can't keep up, even though they do understand what they have learned. And this can impact all academics across the board. Auditory processing is not about the hearing. It's about what happens after the sound reaches the brain. Students who struggle with this might mix up letter sounds like the P, B, D, or they might even drop an S. They often need directions repeated, and so it's about understanding the sound. It could impact all areas of academics, but specifically areas around reading and writing. In grad school, the focus tended to be on calculating and interpreting the scores, but not how to talk about them. I didn't know what to say out loud or what to keep in my report at times. I still catch myself going over information way more than I need to. I had to learn how to explain low scores with compassion, when to pause, when to check for understanding, or just slowing down. The delivery of the data is just as crucial as the data set itself. And just some suggestions as you head off into your IEP meetings. Don't use too much technical jargon. Don't spend so much time on irrelevant information and ones that are not related to the referral question. And if you get stuck, rely on your team. They should be there to support you. Understanding how a student thinks is key to figuring out how to help them. These scores don't diagnose, but they help us determine if a student qualifies under special education categories. It helps us identify what specific supports or accommodations may be appropriate. For example, students with low processing speed may require ample time to respond to a question. They may need shortened assignments, and they might need their assignments and tasks be focused on accuracy versus quality. Students with poor short-term memory may need their instruction or materials chunked into smaller parts, and they may need checklists and graphic organizers as well. Students with poor visual-spatial processing may benefit from things being highlighted or color-coded, or even visual schedules. Other common supports or accommodations are the use of headphones, having preferential seating to avoid the different noises or distractions, and having frequent breaks. I hope this gave you a clearer framework of how to talk about cognitive scores in your IEP meeting. We're all learning. I'm still learning how to best explain these terms to families. If you have a good analogy that you use or a lesson that you learned in tough meetings, please comment them down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.